This reclusive guy finds a tiny hole in his wall one day. Through that tiny hole, he discovers a full view of the room next door. Living there is a sweet, innocent-looking girl so pure and pretty that her image gets burned into his brain instantly. From that moment, it's like Kurosu unlocked a whole new world. Day after day, he gets hooked spying through the hole, watching the girl's every move in her bedroom. From the moment she slings on her backpack and heads to school in the morning, to drying her hair after a bath at night, Kurosu watches it all, soaking in every detail. One night, she starts taking off her clothes, but thanks to an annoying blind spot, no matter how he shifts his angle, he can't see what he wants to see. Frustrated and desperate, Kurosu ends up sneaking out and crawling to the girl's doorstep. Just then, a random girl with glasses catches him in the act. Staring at him weirdly, Kurosu freezes. The girl says nothing, just walks down to another apartment. Turns out, she's Haruko bringing lunch to her brother who lives downstairs. Kurosu hides and waits. As soon as she's gone, he snatches the lunch bag hanging on the doorknob. Starving after 2 days with no food, he devours it like there's no tomorrow. Little does he know the girl upstairs is silently watching the whole thing. Worried he's just blown his first impression, Kurosu scrambles to explain himself, but the girl doesn't seem to mind at all. She learns that Kurosu lives next door, introduces herself as Maichi, and even invites him in for a meal. Eating food made by the goddess next door, Kurosu feels like he's in heaven. Even after going back home, he's still grinning like an idiot. After that, Maichi keeps inviting him over to eat. At first, Kurosu is thrilled, but after a few days, he starts sensing something off. Sure, he's a broke, unemployed recluse, but he's not stupid. Why would someone like Maichi want to hang out with a guy like him? Deep down, he feared that one day, his shortcomings might ruin everything between them.
切れるほどつながれたらよくない?
Then comes a stormy night. Like always, Kurosu peeks through the wall and sees Maichi bringing a strange man into her room. Before he can process it, the guy wraps his arms around her. Downstairs, a black van pulls up. A woman in black steps out, along with a team in uniform, carrying something. It's all too bizarre. Pacing back and forth in his room, Kurosu can't believe what he just saw. And then ding dong, the doorbell rings. Maichi stands there with a pot of food, inviting him to dinner. Kurosu's electricity has been cut, so they light candles and eat by candlelight. After dinner, he peeked through the hole again, staring at her spotless apartment, trying to convince himself it had all just been a bad dream. The next morning, Maichi greets him cheerfully, and they make dinner plans again. That night, Kurosu lights candles early and waits. Heart pounding, he hears her door open, peeks through the hole, and sees that exact same terrifying scene again. Panicked, he scrambles out of his room, but when he looks back, Maichi is standing at the top of the stairs, staring at him like a ghost. Kurosu took off running, terrified, with Maichi chasing right behind him. He fled to a rooftop, but as Maichi closed in, the fear in his eyes faded. He confessed he had long given up on life. It was only through watching her these past few days that he found a reason to keep going. Somehow, she'd made him want to live. Then thud, he dropped to his knees and stopped resisting. Maichi, intrigued by the shut-in who wasn't afraid to die, slowly pressed a blade against his neck. She asked him, calmly, what went through his mind in the face of death. Kurosu didn't know why she asked, but he answered sincerely. To his surprise, Maichi accepted his love.
いいよ.
Then, in the most twisted way possible, she licked the blood from the corner of his mouth, just as Kurosu leaned in for a kiss.
まだダメ。殺しちゃうよ。
For a moment, she seemed to glow, like a holy light surrounded her. In his eyes, Maichi looked just like an angel. Falling in love changed Kurosu. He finally found a reason to live. Determined to be better, he took a part-time job at a convenience store. One day, the two went on a date. Walking through a university campus, Kurosu felt a bit self-conscious. He'd failed the college entrance exam twice. Meanwhile, Maichi was already a researcher here. Then, one of her admirers came running over, asking who Kurosu was.
彼氏です。
Instead of feeling threatened, Kurosu was secretly thrilled. He made up his mind next year, he'd pass that exam and stay by her side. Every single day, after school, they strolled through the city like any normal couple. Suddenly, Maichi pulled him into a narrow alley. Before he could react, she threw on a raincoat, and in one smooth, practiced motion, she had a woman pinned down. She even turned her back to Kurosu, just to keep the tomato sauce from splashing on him. Turns out Maichi was a contract killer, but not just any killer. She only targeted the wicked, the criminals who'd somehow slipped through the cracks of the justice system. The strangest thing? No matter how many people she eliminated, Kurosu never once saw anything about it on the news. That night, like always, Kurosu said goodnight to his girlfriend right on time, but this time, what he saw through the hole chilled him to the bone. Tied to Maichi's bed was someone he recognized. It wasn't just some stranger, it was Kawasaki, the cat-loving guy from downstairs. If it had been anyone else, maybe Kurosu could have pretended not to care, but this time, it hit too close to home. He tried to stop Maichi, begged her to let him go, but she didn't listen. She finished the job. Unable to accept what just happened, Kurosu rushed to the company's apartment, demanding answers. There, the woman in black and her team were already cleaning up the scene. From her, Kurosu learned the truth: they were part of a secret organization that handled aftercare. Then, she took him to Kawasaki's room, and what Kurosu found there changed everything. Turns out, Kawasaki's love for stray cats? All a sick cover, behind closed doors. He was a monster abusing and killing cats for fun. The room was filled with twisted tools and boxes stacked high with feline remains. Kurosu was horrified. Even after learning the truth, he still couldn't come to terms with who his girlfriend really was. He pleaded with Maichi to stop taking lives, but she refused to give up her hobby. They argued, words flew, and in the end, Maichi walked away, eyes full of disappointment. Later that day, Kurosu ran into Kawasaki's younger sister, Haruko. Guilt-ridden, he tried to avoid her, but she stopped him, asking if he'd seen her brother. Before he could think of a lie, Maichi appeared silently at the stairs. Once she learned Haruko was looking for her brother, Maichi warmly invited her inside. Kurosu panicked. He thought Maichi was planning to silence Haruko too. He quickly came up with an excuse and sent her away. What Kurosu didn't realize was that Maichi was just jealous. Back in his room, he warned her Kawasaki's disappearance wouldn't stay hidden for long, but Maichi stayed calm, simply telling him not to worry. Haruko, still unable to reach her brother, said she was going to the police. Kurosu froze, desperate to keep things quiet. He convinced her to contact the landlord first. So, the landlord came and opened Kawasaki's door. Kurosu braced for the worst, but the room was spotless, and on the wall was a travel itinerary for a trip to Thailand. Everyone assumed Kawasaki had gone abroad. That's when Kurosu realized the woman in black had already cleaned everything up. Haruko thanked Kurosu for helping out.
ごめんなさい。全然気にしないで。まあ何かあったら相談してよ。いや、それはさすがに彼女さんに怒られちゃいそう。
Relieved, he finally let out a breath, but then he saw something that crushed him. Maichi was smiling, walking hand in hand with some thug, his arm wrapped around her. Over dinner, Kurosu couldn't hold back any longer. He confronted Maichi.
宮市さん、今日誰かと会いました？僕を捨てる準備を密かに進めてんじゃないですか。
っていうかクロス君はさ、何をそんなにあのメガネの子のために動き回ってるの？意外だよね。
こっちこそ意外ですよ。なんでさ、あのパリピ。
クロス君こそあの舌足らずに必死になっちゃって、あの子幼稚園でベロの成長終わってんじゃない？
He told her everything he'd done, all because he cared about her, but Maichi stayed cold and silent. So Kurosu did the only thing he could think of. He hugged her from behind. Ever wonder how to comfort an angry girlfriend? Well, Kurosu was trying. The mood started to soften, just as he leaned in for a kiss.
まだダメ。殺しちゃうよ。
The next day, Maichi walked into a Yakuza hideout alone. She'd recently taken out one of their men. Even though the cleanup had been flawless, They'd somehow caught on. As compensation, the boss demanded she eliminate his rival, but Maichi had her own code she refused.
彼氏ペット保存食さらっちゃうよ
Worried that Kurosu might be in danger, she waited outside the convenience store for him to finish work. They headed home together only to find Haruko at their door again. She'd just received a letter from Kawasaki apparently. He was doing fine in Thailand. Kurosu couldn't help but admire how smoothly the woman in black handled things. Haruko vented her frustrations about her brother's sudden departure, but mid-sentence, she collapsed. Maichi calmly slipped on her raincoat and pulled out a box cutter. Kurosu instantly grabbed her arm this time. His gaze was firm. Heartbroken, Maichi walked away without a word. A few moments later, Haruko woke up. Seeing Maichi gone, she turned to Kurosu and confessed her feelings.
ごめんごめん
Those bright, shining eyes locked onto him, and Kurosu nearly lost control. Thankfully, the woman in black arrived just in time, and Haruko scurried off in embarrassment. For the first time, Maichi let someone go because of Kurosu. She glared at Kurosu, warning him not to interfere again. The wolf and the lamb, she said, should never mix. Kurosu was left speechless. Since Maichi refused the job, the gang leader came after Kurosu instead. He was abducted and tied up inside a bar. That's when he realized he'd misunderstood Maichi all along. The boss ordered him to convince Maichi to cooperate. When he refused, one of the thugs slashed his face. Seeing the cut on Kurosu's cheek, Maichi turned to walk away toward revenge, but Kurosu stopped her. He told her it didn't matter what happened to him. He just wanted her to stop killing.
クラス君は人を殺した私を好きになった。でもこれからも人を殺す私は絶対に認めない。
Still, they couldn't reach an agreement. Maybe wolves and lambs really weren't meant to be together. That night, Kurosu saw her again doing what she always did. Only this time, she wasn't smiling. She was crying, thinking she'd finally given in to the Yakuza's demand. Kurosu stormed into their hideout.
今すぐ殺しをやめさせろ今すぐ
The gang leader raised a blade to his throat. Just then the lights cut out. A smoke bomb rolled across the floor. Everyone started coughing. Through the haze, Maichi appeared, dressed in her raincoat, ice cold as ice. Seeing Kurosu barely breathing, she snapped. With deadly precision, she took down the gang members in seconds. Even the boss, armed with a samurai sword, didn't last long. Turns out, she wasn't doing their bidding at all. That guy she killed earlier? Just another one of them. The misunderstanding was finally cleared. After everything, they found their way back to each other and exchanged a gentle, knowing smile, and finally, a kiss. But then...
私、本当に好きな人を殺したかったんだ。それ、クロス君。愛してるよ。
僕も愛してます。
Kurosu's vision started to blur. Cut to Maichi, meeting with the woman in black one last time. She was done. No more killings. Not because she'd changed, but because she'd found a new obsession, someone far more interesting.
もう私殺すのやめたから。でもクロス君はいつか殺すよ。簡単には殺さないけど。
いつでもどうぞ。この頸動脈宮市さんのものですから。
Maybe, this was the most devoted love the world had ever known. On the surface, this film feels absurd, totally irrational, impossible to explain with logic, and maybe that's why some people dismissed it. But strip away the shock factor, and at its core this is a love story. Maichi, like a light in the dark, gave Kurosu a reason to live. They met, fell in love, fought, broke apart, and eventually, found their way back.